All right, so get this. You guys have sent us a whole stack of reports about Tokyo Electron.
And they are fascinating.
People are really hyped about this company. We're talking J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs.
Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, them too. They're all buzzing about Tokyo Electron, so we are going to decode why.
Yeah, what's amazing here is these reports, they're offering us a glimpse into the future of tech.
Really, the whole landscape. Right.
Absolutely. From, the chips in our phones to AI, it's all connected.
Okay, so we're diving deep into Tokyo Electron, and they are a major player in, this is a mouthful, semiconductor production equipment.
The machines that actually build the chips.
Yeah, exactly. And, the chip market, it's known for its ups and downs.
Booms and busts, right?
These reports are all from August 2024 onwards, so pretty recent. And they capture Tokyo Electron right in the thick of it.
It's a really interesting time for the industry. It is on an upswing, but there's all these geopolitical factors in play, especially regarding China,
And it just adds this whole other layer of complexity.
Exactly.
We also can't resist a little bit of tech jargon. We're going to be throwing around terms like Acrevia and cryogenic etching.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll be fluent.
You'll know exactly what we're talking about, why it matters.
And why it's a potential game changer.
Yes, exactly. So, first things first, these reports are overwhelmingly positive on Tokyo Electron's performance.
Blowing past expectations.
It's true. So J.P. Morgan, for example, they raised their price target for the company
to a whopping 41,000 toll for December 2025.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It really is.
And Goldman Sachs, they reiterated their buy rating on Tokyo Electron.
They even suggested that Tokyo Electron might actually outpace the entire semiconductor equipment market in growth.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we're seeing this optimism across the board. What's driving it?
Well, it really comes down to two main factors. First, the semiconductor industry as a whole, it's experiencing a surge right now after a little bit of a downturn. Chip makers are investing heavily in new equipment.
Like gearing up for something big.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And second, Tokyo Electron, they seem to be outmaneuvering the competition. They are in a prime position to capitalize on this surge in demand.
So for our listeners out there who maybe aren't, checking the stock market every day, why does this matter? Connect the dots for us.
Sure. So this goes way beyond just the numbers on a screen. This company's success, their ability to innovate, it directly shapes the technology that we use in our everyday lives.
Faster smartphones, better AI.
Exactly. Their performance has ripple effects.
It's all connected. Now, here's the elephant in the room, China. It's a huge market for Tokyo Electron, but the geopolitical situation is, well, it's tense, to say the least. All three of these reports mention China, but with different takes on what it means moving forward.
Right. J.P. Morgan, for instance, they highlight that in their first quarter, 50%, a full 50% of Tokyo Electron's sales came from China.
50%, that's huge. Half their business is tied to, well, let's just say, a country that's becoming increasingly complicated to work with.
It's definitely significant, and it explains why everybody's watching China so closely. What's interesting is that both Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are actually predicting a potential slowdown in orders from China.
Okay, so hold on. J.P. Morgan's highlighting these massive sales to China, but these other reports are saying things could slow down. Those feel like mixed signals.
It's more about understanding the nuances. China's been putting a lot of resources into building up their own domestic chip-making industry.
They want to be less reliant on foreign companies.
Exactly.
So it's not that they don't like Tokyo Electron stuff. It's just they're kind of playing the long game here.
Yeah, they're aiming for that self-sufficiency.
Which strategically makes sense, even if it ruffles some feathers.
Right, and that's where this potential slowdown comes in. Mm-hmm. As China starts producing more of their own equipment, they're probably not going to need to buy as much from companies like Tokyo Electron.
So that's the million-dollar question. Can Tokyo Electron keep up this momentum if their biggest customer starts pumping the brakes?
That's where it gets really interesting. These reports suggest that Tokyo Electron is already anticipating this shift, and they're looking at other markets to kind of balance things out.
Oh, so they're not just sitting back hoping for the best.
No, not at all. Goldman Sachs highlights their expectation for increased demand from a major Taiwanese foundry. And they're banking on continued investment from North American chip makers as well.
Okay, so it's like a global balancing act. They want to keep that relationship with China going, but they're aggressively going after opportunities elsewhere, too. That makes sense, but what's fueling that demand in other regions? Like, what are these chips actually going to be used for?
Well, we're seeing a huge surge in demand for data center chips. Think cloud computing, big data analysis, all of that. The automotive sector is also becoming increasingly reliant on chips.
For everything.
Right. Everything from entertainment systems to those driver assistance features. And of course, we can't forget about the ever-growing demand for AI-powered devices.
So Tokyo Electron is kind of at the heart of this whole technological convergence. Data centers, AI, even self-driving cars. It's like they're supplying the picks and shovels for a digital gold rush, right?
Exactly.
But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the tech itself. I'll admit I saw terms like Acrevia and cryogenic etching in these reports, and I was a little bit lost.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, time to decode some jargon.
Let's do it.
Let's start with Acrevia. The Morgan Stanley report seemed really excited about this one. They're calling it a potential game changer. So break it down for us. What is Acrevia and why all the fuss?
In the simplest terms, Acrevia is a new type of equipment developed by Tokyo Electron, and it's set to revolutionize this process called EUV lithography. You can think of it as a super precise form of engraving, but instead of carving into wood or metal, we're talking about etching patterns onto silicon wafers.
Which is the heart of a microchip.
Exactly.
And EUV lithography is crucial because...
It's how we make the most advanced, most powerful chips.
Okay.
The smaller and more intricate those patterns are on the silicon, the more transistors you can pack in. That means faster processing speeds, larger storage capacity, all the good stuff.
Okay, so we need EUV lithography to make the best chips. Got it. But where does Acrevia fit into all of this?
So think of it like this. EUV lithography is like using a super sharp chisel to create a really detailed sculpture. Now, Acrevia is like having this incredibly precise smoothing tool that comes in and refines all the details, makes the final product even more intricate, even more flawless.
So it's all about taking something that's already incredibly complex and making it even more refined? I can see why that would be a big deal.
It is, and here's why. This increased precision, this efficiency, it could lead to chips with even more layers, which means a significant jump in processing power. We're talking faster AI, more immersive VR experiences. The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
Okay, more power, more layers, that's huge. But this is where it always gets really hazy for me, like translating cutting-edge tech into real-world impact. What difference does this actually make for, say, like the average person using their smartphone?
That's the exciting part. Imagine a phone that not only processes information faster, but uses less battery. We're talking about devices that can handle really complex tasks, like real-time language translation or running advanced AI applications, but they're doing it without even breaking a sweat. And because Acrevia could potentially streamline the way that these chips are made, we might even see those advancements become more affordable.
So faster, cheaper, more powerful tech, that's Acrevia in a nutshell.
Pretty much. And what makes it even more exciting is that it's not just theoretical. They reported that Samsung is already testing out Acrevia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when a tech giant like Samsung starts experimenting with something, you know it has serious potential.
It's like they're placing bets on the future, and it sounds like Acrevia is a pretty safe bet.
Okay, let's talk about the other big term that we saw in these reports, cryogenic etching. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, but it's very real, and it's potentially even more revolutionary for certain applications. Imagine taking a silicon wafer and subjecting it to temperatures approaching absolute zero. We're talking the coldest anything can possibly get.
Okay, that's cold, but why?
Because at those incredibly low temperatures, the chemical reactions involved in the etching process become really, really precise. It's like using a scalpel instead of a butter knife. What it allows you to do is create features on a chip that are mind-bogglingly small.
Okay.
We're talking pushing the very limits of miniaturization. I'm getting flashbacks to high school chemistry class right now. So in simpler terms, why does this ultra-precise etching matter? What is it good for?
Think about things that rely on massive amounts of data storage, smartphones, laptops, data centers. Cryogenic etching is particularly well suited for creating the next generation of memory chips. We're talking about exponentially increasing storage capacity without actually increasing the physical size of the chip.
So not just faster processing, but also a massive leap in how much data we can actually store and access. That is a game changer.
It is. And Tokyo Electron, they're not just dabbling in this, they're leading the charge. Goldman Sachs actually specifically calls out Tokyo Electron's confidence in outpacing their competitors in this whole cryogenic etching field.
Wow, they're not just keeping up, they're setting the pace.
Exactly.
It's amazing how these reports, which, from the outside looking in could just seem like dry financial analyses, they're actually a window into the future. We've gone from decoding Tokyo Electron's performance to understanding how these innovations could literally reshape everything. Our smartphones, artificial intelligence, you name it.
It's about connecting those dots, right?
Yeah.
When we take a deep dive into a company like Tokyo Electron, we gain insights not just into their business, but into the forces that are shaping our world.
Yes. And on that note, it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the absolutely fascinating world of Tokyo Electron and the semiconductor surge. We hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have.
Yes, it's been a wild ride.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Okay, more power, more layers, that's huge. But this is where it always gets really hazy for me, like translating this cutting-edge tech into real-world impact. What difference does this actually make for, say, the average person using their smartphone?
Imagine a phone that not only processes information faster, but also it uses less battery.
Oh, now you're talking.
We're talking about devices that can handle really complex tasks, things like real-time language translation or running advanced AI applications, and it's doing it without breaking a sweat.
Effortlessly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because Acrevia could potentially streamline the way that these chips are made, we might even see these advancements become more affordable.
So faster, cheaper, more powerful tech, that's Acrevia in a nutshell.
Pretty much. And what makes this even more exciting is that it's not just theoretical. They reported that Samsung is already testing out Acrevia.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And when a tech giant like Samsung starts experimenting, you know it has serious potential.
Absolutely, yeah. They're placing bets on the future of tech. It sounds like Acrevia is a pretty safe bet. Okay, let's talk about this other big term that we saw in these reports, cryogenic etching. I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does. But it's very real, and it's potentially even more revolutionary for certain applications. Imagine taking a silicon wafer and subjecting it to temperatures approaching absolute zero. We're talking the coldest anything can possibly get.
Okay, so that's cold, but why? Why does it need to be that cold?
Because at those incredibly low temperatures, the chemical reactions involved in the etching process, they become extremely precise.
Okay.
Think of it like this. It's like using a scalpel instead of a butter knife.
Huh?
You're able to create features on a chip that are mind-bogglingly small. We're talking pushing the very limits of miniaturization.
Okay, so I'm getting flashbacks to high school chemistry class right now. In simpler terms, why does this ultra-precise etching matter? What is it good for?
Think about things that rely on massive amounts of data storage. Smartphones, laptops, data centers. Cryogenic etching is really well suited for creating the next generation of memory chips.
Okay.
We could potentially be talking about exponentially increasing storage capacity without increasing the physical size of the chip.
So not just faster processing, but also this massive leap in how much data we can actually store and access. That's incredible.
It is. And Tokyo Electron, they're not just dabbling in this, they are leading the charge. Goldman Sachs actually specifically called out Tokyo Electron's confidence in outpacing their competitors in this whole cryogenic etching field.
Wow. They're not just keeping up, they are setting the pace.
Exactly.
It's amazing how these reports, which from the outside looking in, they could just seem like these dry financial analyses, but they're actually this fascinating window into the future. We've gone from, trying to figure out how Tokyo Electron is doing as a company to understanding how these innovations could literally reshape everything around us.
Yeah, like our smartphones, artificial intelligence, you name it.
It's incredible.
That's all connected.
It really is. Well, that about wraps it up for this deep dive into Tokyo Electron and the future of semiconductors. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep exploring and most importantly, keep asking questions.